Hey guys, got a really great one for you today. I'm really excited for this. This is an Enon product and this is their flagship, brand new, just out of the factory for 2025, 8-core CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, and they've designed it in a really unique fashion with some fancy physical buttons and a volume knob on a 10-inch display. Let me show you. Now, if you frequent my channel, you probably know that I have reviewed Enon head units before. I really like Enon. Enon actually made the very first Android head unit that I ever installed in a car many years ago. And some of their later products have appeared in my top products lists when I release those. But the point is, they're a respectable brand, okay? And this is not a paid endorsement. Enon don't pay me to make these videos, but they have been an impressive thing over the years. So this one's unique though, because Enon, generally speaking, make budget head units. They make head units that are less expensive than the really top end brands. So for them to come out with something like this, which has an 8-core CPU and 8 gigs of RAM and some really decent other specifications, this is a special product. It's a special thing. So what I'm gonna do, as usual, is get it out of the box, show you what it consists of, and then I'm gonna go and take it into the car and have a play. So let's do that now. And here it is. Now at the moment it's in 2 pieces with a cable going through, and that's because we just need to slot the main unit onto the screen. So I'm just going to do that now. And there we go. Let me just give you a closer look at this beautiful thing. So I just slotted it into the standard doubled in slot that it has, and it has this movable mount, which is why it comes in 2 separate pieces. But it also has some other functionality from a fitting perspective. I'll go into that in a bit, but let's just take a closer look at it first. So as you can see, it is very unique. So you got your 10-inch display, and then across the bottom here, you have these sort of switch buttons, and totally unique. No other Android head unit I have seen comes with anything like that. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of my friend Dave's Mustang GT, which has these sorts of dip switches under the Ford Sync 3 or whatever it is that they have from factory. But yeah, anyway, the point is it adds a touch of, I don't know, I think it's quite classy. It gives it another dimension, doesn't it? And then obviously you have the main knob here, which is also a button. Then over here you have a reset button, and over here you have a microphone. The other thing is there is a screen protector on this screen, so you can probably see there's a few bubbles, and that is just because there's a screen protector on it, which is a nice add-on. If I swing it around, you can see it's a 4G antenna here, GPS antenna, the Wi-Fi antenna is already built in, which is good. Radio antenna goes in here. You have a bunch of other connections, which I'll go into in just a second. Then you have the main power loom entry point here, and then you have digital, optical, and coaxial outputs. So you do actually have those premium connections, which will allow you to have a lossless connection to a digital amp if you have one. One thing that I do know that's missing from the back of this, which would probably make it perfect, is an HDMI. There's no HDMI output. That's a shame. But other than that, this thing has everything else that you could possibly want. Just tipping it up here, you can see that it has a completely tiltable screen. So that's great. So you'll actually be able to get it to face you in the driving position, which is a good thing as well. Also in the box, they have given us an AHD camera. That's actually quite good because these are quite expensive, these high definition reverse cameras. So the fact that it's included in the box is awesome. Then we have the main loom. This is an ISO loom because that is what I need for my particular car. However, I do know that Enon make head units for multiple car brands. If you contact them, they may have something that will just be plug and play for your particular car. We have the backup camera loom. We have the 4G antenna. We have the external microphone, so they've included one of those, which is great. We have a loom for the rear RCA outputs, so that's rear, left and right. And then you have the RxTX cable. The RxTX means that it is capable of advanced CAN bus. So that doesn't mean just like normal steering controls. It means it can read from the car's CAN bus network if you couple this with a CAN bus decoder, such as being able to display climate controls, heated seats, whether a door is open. It can show you the distance that you are away from things if you have radar sensors. That means that advanced canvas is cool. We have 3 USB ports, we have the GPS antenna, we have a spare fuse and a SIM card adapter, and we've got a bunch of screws. Right, I can't wait to get this in the car. Let's go and do it now. And so here we have the UX6K-Pro-Max Enon head unit, and it is a thing of beauty in this car. I really do enjoy the fact that it has all of these sort of massive physical switches and the knob, because it just looks awesome in the car. It really, really does. And as it was a doubled-in head unit, standard doubled-in form factor, it just slid straight in perfect. And obviously it has the ability to tilt as well, which is always a nice thing with these types of head units, so you can actually aim it towards yourself as the driver as well. Well, let's switch it on and see how quick it is to boot up. So it's switched on now. And that's an instant on. And immediately you can see why I am really, really gonna love this head unit, because it's not your standard Android. They have designed a launcher which is stunningly beautiful. Now, it doesn't have all of the sort of standard stuff that you would expect from, you know, the usual Android launcher software. You don't have all these like weird widgets that take up most of the screen. What this has is a large empty gap where you have a wallpaper of your choice. And as you can see at the moment, I have this earth, which is actually completely interactive, which I think is absolutely awesome. But you can just have any background that you want on here. You do have widgets though, and the widgets are along the bottom here. So we have the speedometer, we have a music widget. So the music widget works with installed applications or local music installed on the device as well. So as you can see, I have mine associated with Spotify. We have ability to view the front camera from an icon there. Project M, because I like Project M, as you guys know. And then you have the time and date here, and then other apps that you can add. If you want to add more stuff, you just click this and then you just choose something else to add down there. But I think that makes things look really, really neat. The fact that it has the music widget, which is actually compatible with installed applications, is great. And the design of it just looks so clean. It does obviously have all this dead space up here, but that's just part of the design. I honestly really like it. And this 3D world animation also adds to it as well. Anyway, along the bottom you have a toolbar. The toolbar, you have the ability to see your other applications. Here you have navigation, which opens Waze, and then we have this button here, and this button changes the launcher software a little bit. If we tap this icon, we see something that's a little bit more traditional to what you would find on an Android head unit. So over here you have, this is an animation, so as you're driving along, the road sort of flies towards you, and it has a speedometer up here as well. But at the same time, you still have your music widget here, so you can control your Spotify apps, your Bluetooth hands-free notification, time and date, a few of the other buttons up here. So there is an alternate way that you can look at the dashboard of the launcher software if you wanted to, but I much prefer this. Kind of gives some vibes off of another head units, kind of a little bit like the Doodoo software, but I really do like this. Obviously over here we have the local music app, we have the Bluetooth hands-free, local video files, and then the settings here, which we'll go into a little bit later. Now, FM radio wise, it does have an FM radio obviously, and the design of the software is lovely because it uses RDS, which is my favorite function, to actually see the radio station name. Completely pointless on some Android head units, which just show you the radio frequency. That doesn't help, I don't know what I'm listening to. RDS shows the radio station name, and it does actually set the radio station name on the preset buttons as well. So yeah, it's fine, it has all the functionality that you'd want. Did notice that it's not particularly good at picking up all radio stations. Other head units can pick up more FM stations. I don't listen to radio, and most people don't. It's not a big deal. Obviously, if you want DAB, this is completely compatible with DAB. If you buy the DAB stick, very, very cheap stick, plug into the USB, and it will give you DAB, so that's another function of this head unit if you want it. Now, the physical buttons are brilliant, because what we have here is the back button, which has a physical button. You have the navigation button. So I have Waze at the touch of a physical button will open up, which is absolutely awesome. And then again, we can hit back there. We have backtrack and next track, and obviously the physical volume knob. And this physical volume knob is actually really good. It's better than the head unit that I reviewed a little while ago, which also has a physical volume knob. This one is more sort of responsive to changes, so that's pretty cool. Then you have local music physical button here. Now this, I wish you could program to open a different app. So Enon, take this as some advice, please. This music button should be able to open Spotify by pressing that physical button. Like you have made the navigation button programmable, I can choose Google Maps or Waze, I would like to be able to open Spotify by pressing this button. So please take that under advisement. But otherwise, it's great. This head unit is spectacular. This last physical button here, if I press this, it opens the equalizer. But I will go into more details on the equalizer a little bit later in this video. Now let's talk about the speed of this thing, because it is not slow. So this thing runs on an ARM architecture based 8-core CPU with 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is amazing for the price of this unit. That means it's going to be very fast. Don't take my word for it. Let's actually test it and see how long it takes to open everyday apps. I'm going to close everything that's running in the background, so this is a fair test. So let's see how long it takes to open Spotify. Instantaneously, like very, very quick indeed. Exactly what you'd want from a head unit. We'll try Waze now. Oh, it's a physical button, isn't it? There we go. Yeah, you see how quick that is? That is so fast. This device is a premium head unit from the point that the hardware specification is excellent. The software is excellent as well. So really, really happy with what this does so far. Now, obviously it's an Android head unit. Android head units are great because, well, for many reasons, but one of the main reasons that they're fantastic is because they allow you to run lots of different apps, any app in actual fact. Anything you can find on the Android Play Store, you're going to be able to install on here. And that goes for Netflix, Disney Plus, all the video applications, YouTube, etc. But not only that, you can install other stuff. And one of the apps that I like to install is Project M Music Visualizer, which is this thing here. Because this is Android 13 and it has great software, has screen split functionality. So to do that, we just pull down from the top, hit the square, and then just tap the icon up here and go split left. And then, for example, I can have Spotify on this side here. So I actually get some music visualizations with the music that's playing as well, which is just awesome. Like for me as a child, that's cool, but obviously for your passengers as well. If you're easily distracted, don't do this. But probably more appropriate use of split screen is if you have Spotify open, we can go to split left and then have navigation on the same screen at the same time. And again, this is not like the watered down version that you get on Apple Carplay or Android Auto. It is the full version of both apps, highest resolution available as well, so everything is beautifully sharp, and yeah, perfect for having two apps on at the same time, which is absolutely brilliant. Obviously, one of the other things that's great about Enon as well is we go into the settings. The settings have been designed in a very, very easy, user-friendly way. The user interface is perfect. So you have all of your settings very, very easy to find in here, and that's great. And actually under general, which is quite interesting, you can actually have mixed Navi and media sound. You can turn that on and off. It has specific options for external amplifiers. So for example, you have power regulation here. If it's too loud when you've only turned it up a couple of notches, that's probably because the internal amplifier of the head unit is also amplifying your car's factory amplifier. So it's too loud. So you can actually reduce that by reducing the power regulation using this option here as well. So there's a bunch of stuff like amp C delayed power off. If some people that have aftermarket amplifiers will make like a bang noise when you turn off your head unit, and you can actually prevent that by delaying the amp being powered off, and you do that using this functionality here as well. So there's lots of different things that you can do on this head unit. They kind of thought about everything from a head unit perspective. Now we haven't talked about sound yet. Sound's really important because it's something that I'm amazed about with this head unit as well. This is not a paid endorsement. This is genuinely one of my favorite head units now because it's unique in many ways. The software is unique, the physical design is unique with these kinds of buttons and this physical knob. It's fantastic. Now let me show you the sound. This button here opens the graphic equalizer. Like I was playing with it, I was just like, why is this not working? Because I was making changes and trying to increase the treble and it wasn't doing it. And the reason for that is because there are 3 levels of frequencies. There's 3 pages of frequencies here. So these are the lower frequencies, you know, for the bass and the lower sounds. And then up here, the higher frequencies, the treble as well. So you have an enormous amount of control for customizing the sound via the frequency control over the graphic equalizer here. And that is absolutely great. Now, I get that not a lot of you are interested in messing about with like individual frequency control. Well, that's fine, because actually up here we have the, you know, the usual presets, standard, rock, and that's gonna just set this up, you know, in a specific way, and that might be what you want. Okay, you might find something that you hear, but if you don't, then that's fine. There is further control from this. If we hit full mode, then you can actually set the graphic equalizer for just the front left and right, and just the rear left and rear right. So you can have different equalizer settings for the front and the rear of the car, giving you that extra control if you want. And that's good if you have aftermarket speakers, but you have different brands in the front than you have in the back, then you can set them up differently using this software, which is great. Loudness control is up here, and if we hit the curve button, it just gives you sort of more traditional things that you can move up and down. So yeah, it's just a different view, but I kind of prefer it like this. Right, under bass boost, you have the ability to control specific frequencies in the front and the rear. And if we hit bass up here, this is your subwoofer control. So if you have a separate amp controlling a subwoofer, then you can actually manage the RCA output from this, and it does have frequency cutoffs as well. 3D sound is the ability for you to set delays to each individual speaker, slight few millisecond delay to sort of get the sort of sound that you want. Rear trump, I have no idea what this is. Sound field is literally just fade and balance, so nice and easy. Filter is frequency cutoffs separately for the front and the rear as well. So as you can see, you have absolutely tons of control over pretty much any aspect of the audio in the car. And the thing is, I don't know how it's doing it, but it's probably one of the best sounding head units that I've had in this car. And considering that this is a more budget one, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not the very highest brands and the really expensive ones. I am genuinely amazed at the quality of sound that comes out of this thing. It almost makes this car, which has no aftermarket sound in it, it doesn't have a subwoofer, it doesn't have aftermarket speakers, it kind of makes it sound like it has a sub in here without distorting. Yeah, the sound is fabulous, like really, really good. Really super impressed with it. In fact, everything about it, even just looking at it, just look at it, like look how sharp it is. It's only a 720p screen, but it looks really sharp. It looks like a higher resolution screen, and yeah, the contrast is fantastic. Everything about it, I really love this head unit. Yeah, I really do. Enon, you've done a good job. You've done a very good job. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for this review. If I've missed anything, please do ask in the comments below, and I'll see what I can do about answering them. And if there's another head unit that you'd like me to review, just let me know and I'll get on it. All right, thanks very much. Bye.